insurrectionist, sir?
Well, I think certainly they're self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero. And he seems to be doubling down on about everything.
Destroying democracy is totally fine if Democrats do it. Joe Biden giving his blessing to the bombshell ruling that kicked Donald Trump off the ballot in Colorado. You can blame these 4 Democrat-picked Colorado Supreme Court justices for the landmark decision. They pushed a novel legal theory that sounds like it was written by MSNBC's Primetime, deciding that the former president's actions on January 6th make him ineligible to even run for president again, and are using the 14th Amendment, a relic from the Civil War era, to stop insurrectionists from holding office. I think we need a little fact check on that last one. Trump has not been charged with insurrection. The Trump campaign vowing to quickly appeal at the Supreme Court, and the former president himself railing against it. Listen.
They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way.
The liberals who crow endlessly about threats to democracy seem to be pretty happy about taking it away from voters in Colorado.
This is not a crazy thing for a democracy to do.
It's very much like the reasoning of the conservative legal community.
The conservatives on the Supreme Court, who usually go on and on and on about states' rights, are hypocrites.
He was an enemy of the Constitution.
Simply a plain reading of the U.S. Constitution.
This is not partisan. This is about applying historic principles.
What do you say to the Republican candidate's argument that this should be, the voters should have the say and not the courts?
Why are you standing with Confederates who betrayed this country?
Colorado's anti-democratic ruling could open the floodgates and destabilize our elections. A dozen other states have pending lawsuits which could bar Trump from the ballot. And now liberal California is looking into blocking people from voting for Trump. Okay, you went to law school. You did, right?
I did.
Okay, good. When you saw this drop last night, what was the first thing that went through your mind, Harold?
I wanted to read the decision. Second thing that popped in my mind was, first, good to be back.
Good to be
Second
back.
thing to be back. Second thing that popped in my mind was we're going to get the Supreme Court's going to weigh in on this, and we'll have an opportunity to retire this issue one way or the other. As you stated, there are a number of states that have been flirting with this. 3, I hadn't heard President Biden because he hadn't spoken yet. We all have opinions about what happened on January 6th. The thing that I was most concerned about as it related to President Trump, I'm still bothered by. I was there where he had every right to believe that he won. He had every right to tell people that he won, every right to tell people, you should go tell them that I won. But when he saw the thing kind of got out of control for 3 hours and didn't call, his own vice president was there, that's still what bothers me. I'm not sure that's him being a part of an insurrection, but it's certainly, he's going to have to answer for that. But I'd rather have him answer to the voters, Jesse. And so I'm concerned and bothered by the decision. But I'm relieved by the fact, and Emily and I have a legal background, I'm relieved that the Supreme Court is likely to take this up because you have different states with different positions on this. You have some states that have said it's okay. Now you have a state that's saying he should not be on the ballot. Based on what I know, if I were on the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, I would overrule them.
Okay, Emily, so they're going to take this up, we believe, in January. When would they decide this case?
Well, usually decisions come out in June. This would likely have an expedited decision, however, and that was part of the reason why this decision was stayed and why SCOTUS said, yes, we'll take it. I have to say, I obviously agree with Harold, but I want to point out where the analogy falters, which is, he's grateful for the Supreme Court, but it's sort of like, getting your leg chopped off and being like, thank goodness I'm right next to a hospital to fix it. The whole point is you shouldn't have your leg chopped off in the first place. And when you talk about multiple states flirting with it, most of them dismissed it outright for the fact that it is faulty. So to me, my first thought when I heard about this was, here's just yet another way that they are trying to take him down. And most importantly, another way that they, meaning the liberal, leftist, woke Democrats, are trying to take away power from the people. And for everyone saying that are advocates of this, well, multiple sources say, yes, it pertains to the office of the presidency. And, well, it couldn't possibly preclude this. Or most totally irrelevantly, unlike whoever, I just blanked on her name, said it on there, well, what if a Confederate had decided to be president or had won the election? At the end of the day, the gross majority of Democratic precedents, of democracy canon, states that indeed this office is excluded. And decision after decision held that the office of the presidency was excluded from Section 3. And only recently, in the grand scheme of things, had decisions started coming out saying something different. And so when I look at that volume and I look to people who are way more educated and smarter than I am, they overwhelmingly say, at the end of the day, all you are doing is having partisan state election boards and activist judges take away the power from the people. Let the people decide. All this is going to do is make everyone mad and remind everyone why activist judges hold no place in our democracy. And for some reason, they are continuing to flourish under this administration.
Dana, so last election we had interference by the CIA, by the FBI, by big tech, and now it looks like you're going to have judges and lawyers again interfering in this election.
Well, I actually think this is going to be taken care of pretty quickly.
Good.
I think that it'll be expedited so quickly that you might have a decision even before the end of this year or the first week of January because of the way that the ballots work, and also because I think it's pretty clear. And if you look at the preponderance of the response today, it's probably the most agreement you've had on the left and the right that this is actually a dog of a case and it's not going to go forward. Most Supreme Court cases are decided 9-0, 8-1. They're hardly, the ones that we all talk about are the ones that were like the most difficult ones for them to answer. I actually don't think this is going to be that difficult to answer. Minnesota, not the most conservative state, their Supreme Court was like, yeah, we're not touching this with a 10-foot pole, walking away from it. So I think that the Supreme Court knows we need to be decisive and we need to be quick about this and we need to see what we can do. The other thing is, President Biden, when he was asked, was Trump an insurrectionist? And he says, well, I think that's self-evident. Sir, that's not how it works in the country. Like, I could say it's self-evident to me that Hunter Biden was accepting bribes on behalf of his father, who has given him a wink and a nod. I mean, it's self-evident to me. That is actually not how it's supposed to work. That's why we have an impeachment. That's why Hunter's under indictment, and he will get his day in court. Also, all the liberals who are totally freaking out about this, and with glee, thinking, yeah, now we've really got him. Just wait until the Supreme Court pushes it back and says no. Then all of them are going to say that the U.S. Supreme Court is illegitimate and that they've been totally bought off by everybody else. It will be preposterous. On the politics, just 2 points. President Trump's ascent in the 2024 primary actually started last April when Alvin Bragg here in New York brought that tax case against him. And that's when you started to see it go up. Now it's been supercharged with every other legal case that's come forward. And this one, perhaps it puts him over the top. Democrats are providing him all of his best moments. Yes. And so if I were Biden, what I would have said is, I'll let the courts decide about insurrectionists and about this. But I'll tell you this, if Trump's on the ballot, I'm going to beat him on the merits and then walk away. Instead, I guess I'm not surprised about how he handled it. And that's all I have to say.
Doesn't Jack Smith, he has a case with the court about whether the president can be charged criminally
January
for
6th.
executing his duties. They might knock that out, too.
Right.
Greg?
I love the media glee over this. It's hysterical because it just betrays their stupidity. I mean, if you think this is valid or a win, it's so unconstitutional. This is like cheering because you got a girl's phone number and it turns out to be for the suicide hotline. That's how bad this is. I feel so bad. I was watching earlier. I feel so bad for Mary Trump. She has no idea this is going to blow up in her face. Not like anyone will notice, but still, remember, this is a system based on precedent. Harry Reid changed the filibuster rule, and what happened? Republicans filibustered Merrick Garland, allowing Trump to get the Supreme Court majority, which ironically will solve this mess. So this could also blow up in the Dems' faces, much like a puffer fish with diarrhea, also known as the Mary Trump. All right. The Dems aren't learning. The more they push Trump away, the closer he gets. He really is like booze to the Dems, who are all full-blown Trumpaholics, right? And what do Trumpaholics do? They hide bottles all over the house, hoping no one will see it. But the obsession only grows. They put Trump here. Let's put him over there. But then he just pops out, and it's just, you just need it more than ever. It makes him just more exciting. He doesn't have to say or do anything. In fact, that would be my advice to him. Let these crazy people elect you. The more unhinged and old the Dems sound about Trump, the more punk rock, the more rap, the more metal Trump becomes. He's like a mix of the Sex Pistols, Public Enemy, and Metallica, all rolled into one. He's America's bad boy, and he should just let them do all the work and sit back and regain the White House.
All right.
The one good thing if the court does say 9-0 because I think there's a chance it will, is that it will help deflate something that bothers me. It will deflate this partisan argument about judges being Democrat or Republican. Yeah. You could very well see every Democratic appointed judge and Republican appointed judge in the court decide that this is not constitutional. To your point.
Did you hear the Supreme Court ruling on cannibalism? 8-1. I just made that up.
You
it's so
did
bad.
not just
I
make
did.
that up.
When she said 8-1, I was like,
did not just make that up. You've been keeping that in your back
swear.
pocket.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.